Good morning, everyone. And so today we're gonna combine everything we have learned. So we have learned about natural selection and artificial selection. So today we're gonna do a compare and contrast. So that's the academic objective today. You're gonna be comparing and contrasting natural selection with artificial selection. Easy peasy. And I'm sure most of you by now should know what are the major differences between the two. Behavior objective stays the same, so show respect by following instructions, responsibility by doing your work appropriately, and the academic honesty. And so academic honesty is still a very important behavior objective, so if you need, most of the answers should be present on the video. And so when you Google for answers and I see a copied and paste response, you are ultimately telling me that one, you did not watch the video, or you are just looking for answers and just carrying on with what you're doing. And so I highly recommend that you follow instructions that are given, because I have broken down most instructions to the point where there shouldn't really be a need for Google. Google is a good resource, you can use it, but as of now, I do not see it as much use. And so some of you might have been wondering that yesterday I might have been hating on the Chihuahua a little too much. So here, for those of you who get this little inside joke here, then I commend you for watching the video for yesterday. So yes, the Chihuahua is trying to say, excuse me, I can survive in the wild. And then I'll be like, I beg to differ, because I doubt it. But you know what? As a person with some degree of reasoning, I will probably change my words. I won't say that it can't. I'll probably say it is probably highly unlikely that a Chihuahua can survive out in the great outdoors. Now, let me back up my reasoning for my little joke. This is a Great Dane. That is a little Chihuahua. So tell me, natural selection, let nature do the thinking. Can a Chihuahua really survive in the wild? I'm still leaning towards probably highly unlikely. But there's a reason why we have a Chihuahua. It's because of artificial selection. So in artificial selection, I'm gonna say, oh my goodness, can we make this Chihuahua any smaller and cuter? At this point, then yes. Just keep finding smaller and cuter Chihuahuas and just breed them. And so, this series of questions should have already gave you the hints to what's really the major differences between natural selection and artificial selection. Moving on. Vocabulary remains the same, and so let's get to the real topic of the day. Some of you might say, oh my goodness, it's a wall of words. Yes, it's a wall of words, but we have been learning these two concepts slowly this week. And so today it is now our time to bring everything into one chart to look at. And so, natural selection, I'm sure obviously the word natural, this is selected, tested by nature. Nature decides, live or die. Can you survive here? Artificial selection, humans, we are the selectors. We choose. We're not really testing, but yes, we can test because we're actually, selecting is a type of test. Now, in natural selection, traits are best fit for the environment. Those are the traits that will be passed on. If the traits are useful in this home, then the offsprings will have these traits. Now, if you don't have any helpful traits, you are most likely going to die. And if you die, then the trait is lost because you didn't make offsprings. You didn't pass on to the next generation. In artificial selection, traits that are passed on are those that we humans want. So in the case of the Chihuahua, smaller, cuter, and probably a bit more annoying. Those are the traits we're looking for. And so steps of the natural selection doesn't change. Reproduction leads to overproduction of babies. Variation, there's a variety of traits. 3, competition and selection. So now you're going through the process of who will survive. You're going to compete with your own, and you're going to be tested by nature. Step 4, fitness, survival of the fittest. Those who pass, those with the traits that are helpful, they are the ones who are going to live to adulthood and make babies. That is natural selection. In artificial selection, reproduction is still there, variation is still there. Now this is where the change is. Selection of desirable traits or offsprings. We get to pick who, well, first of all, if you breed, all offsprings are going to live. But here we choose who will be the ones that will be parents. Those with the undesirable traits, chances are we're just going to, like puppies, like dog breeders. There's a reason why some dogs are sold at such a cheap price. It's because they have the undesirable traits. They don't want it, so they just want to sell it and get rid of it. Those who will fetch a high price, those are the desirable traits. Now the concept I've broken down. So in the end, all organisms are born with a set amount of traits. So all organisms are born with a set of traits. So these traits cannot change. Animals and plants do not adapt to the environment. They are born with it or they're born without it. The traits will help or harm the organism. So camouflage, you have camouflage, congratulations, you survive. You don't have camouflage, too bad, you're dead. Organisms who survive to adulthood will have offsprings with the helpful traits, so passing on of traits. That is the nutshell of natural selection. In artificial selection, the only difference is the trait is something humans want or do not want. And so we're going to choose the parents and we're going to choose the offsprings. And so this is the breakdown of natural selection and artificial selection. The video will probably do a better job explaining than me, but I have made this chart for you. And so today's assignment is simple. Watch the video. It's a short 2 to 3 minute video. You're going to complete the questions, and that is pretty much it. Now, before we end this topic, I want you to realize that artificial selection and natural selection is not just for animals. Plants are included. Rice fields, that is artificial selection. We're cultivating. There is still wild rice being grown. And so, artificial selection is not just plants and animals. Plants are included. And so, that is the last thing I want to add for this topic. And so, good luck.